Good evening. This is Richard Peter. It's Wednesday, March the 18th, in the year of our Lord Jesus Christ, 2009. I'm the founding member of the Glorious National Party. Today, I believe our president was in California. I don't recall the name of the city, but I was doing one of the town meetings, and I tell you, I am very impressed with President Obama. First of all, he had the courage to sit there and ask the questions. It looked like to answer the questions that were put to him. It looked like to me that nothing was scripted. He spoke strictly from his heart. He wasn't in front of the teleprompter. I don't know where this rumor is coming from that he falls flat on his face if he doesn't have a teleprompter. He sounded like a very intelligent and compassionate man who wants to solve the problems of America. But here's the thing. I have said on earlier videos the first step is to get out of the way, that politicians, especially presidents, especially world leaders, need to stop and be silent for about a minute before the God who created starlight, and then the solutions are going to come to the economy and every other thing that's wrong with the country. When you don't take that moment of silence to listen, you're not going to get the message that is intended for you to fix all things correctly and perfectly. So I'm going to be silent for about a minute, and then we'll have some solutions to present to President Obama to bring us all out of this economic mess that we're in. Let's be quiet now before the Lord. See how simple that was? Just in a few seconds, God gave me the message here to share with you folks who are my friends here on YouTube. And I want to also thank YouTube for allowing these videos to go forth. It's wonderful that we can sit here in front of our little webcams and communicate with each other throughout the entire world. The American economy, the world economy. It looks like an unsolvable problem, doesn't it? We can't seem to get the economic engine running again. Everything is collapsing economically. People are being laid off. They can't get jobs. Woe is me. Do you think God's worried about that? Do you think the God who creates starlight, the God who can raise the dead, the God who can feed thousands of people with just a few morsels of bread, do you think he has any concern about the economy or about lack of any kind? Does the universe look up in the sky at night? Does the universe look like it's lacking anything? Look at that infinite pulsating energy appearing as stars and also as your individual consciousness, and tell me if there's any lack. Look at the intelligence that God has given you, the love, the creativity, the invention, the wit, the new ideas, the different ways of looking at things to help you operate in time and space in such a way as everything that's necessary for you being productive in life comes about without any effort, just simply by being quiet and silent and allowing your Father and my Father. There's only one God, and that's true of your friends as well as your so-called enemies. And your real enemies. They just don't realize that they are identified in their consciousness with the God who created starlight. They think their God's better than your God, so they're going to kill you until you believe. Isn't that childish? Isn't that silly? Or they want you to worship themselves as God, saying, I am source, I am God, I am the infinite starlight. No, you are the inlet for that and the outlet for that. And when you relax and let go and go with the flow, let the stream of infinity flow through you, then everything that you need is going to come about. Now let's talk about the economy for a moment here. And more importantly, let's let God talk about the economy. You folks have built an economic system on paper and credit, where all kinds of derivatives and complicated instruments that people can't even understand have been put together and sold on the secondary and tertiary markets, and basically it's worthless paper. If you had real gold, you couldn't be doing those manipulations. Let's go back to the root of the problem. Let's look at the house on Brookview Drive or on whatever street you're living on, Janet Street, whatever it may be. That house is the root of the problem. You wanted that house. You were going to get it on credit. You were willing to sign a mortgage saying, I'm willing to pay interest for 21 years and for 9 years pay principal. Can you imagine that? You signed your name to a document that said you were willing to pay interest for 21 years. Interest only, basically, is what it amounts to. And then in the last 9 years, you might become a homeowner. where if the mortgage instrument itself had been designed one half toward principal and one half toward interest, if the currency you were using were backed by gold at least and silver at least to 30 or 40%, house prices would be down. Inflation, homes that were really worth only $40,000 wouldn't be priced at $300,000. California, you can't even get a one-bedroom condo for less than $500,000 nowadays. It's not worth that. California's nice, but it's not worth that kind of money. So things inflated because it was so simple to type out money and print it up. And that, unfortunately, President Obama, is what you're doing. You're using the old economic theory of John Maynard Keynes. You've got your Christina Roma there advising you, a Keynesian economist. Print the money, solve all the problems. That's not going to work. Geithner says, what he's going to do is to create a private-public partnership and allow private people like Warren Buffett and others with lots of money to come in and buy these toxic assets and put up maybe 5 cents on the dollar with American taxpayer money, making it possible for them to bid 85 or a dollar on these assets. They're worthless, but they're certainly worth it. Almost worthless. They're worth about 3 to 5 cents. So Buffett and the others and the other hedge fund managers, the so-called good private money, comes in there to take these toxic assets away from the banks, and they buy them with about 5 cents on the dollar, and then they bid a dollar because the government's going to make up the difference. You and I, the taxpayer, will make up the difference if those toxic assets cannot be sold. That is bullshit and hogwash. That's the worst thing that you could do, Mr. President. What you need to do to solve the problem is to, first of all, move all of those toxic assets out of the banks, and then pay for them by guaranteeing, in other words, you take over the good debt. The government takes over the good debt in all these banks as payment for the toxic assets. All of the major banks, are only about 4 of them, Bank of America, Chase, you know who the 4 big banks are that control 70% of the lending. They get 1 week. You take them into the Oval Office, you meet with them for about 1 week, and you say, gentlemen, you give me a list of these toxic assets as quickly as you can, and you're going to get 1 chance for the government to pay you 3 or 4, for the government, not for the private people that are the friends of the people that elected you, Mr. President. The George Soros, the Warren Buffett's, the exchange-traded funds, all of that crap. Be a man of the people. Say to Tim Geithner, here's what I want you to do. I want you to move those toxic assets out into a separate bank, and I want you to liquidate them and put it back into the United States Treasury. Furthermore, I want you to put the United States Treasury in charge of the Federal Reserve. I want you to exchange all of these notes that are instruments of debt for a brand new United States currency, backed at least 30 or 40% in gold and silver. I want you to do that yesterday. I want you to make it national law that 1/2 of every payment goes to principal, 1/2 to interest, so that people can become homeowners in 8 to 11 years. Do it yesterday, or I'm going to fire you, Tim. You hear me? You'll no longer have my confidence. I want you to put a moratorium on foreclosures until people can refinance and get out of these unholy mortgages that have been put forth. And then I want you to create and demand that a new mortgage come out at about 2 or 3% interest during this crisis, where 1/2 goes toward principal, 1/2 goes toward interest from day one. I want you to have a day of an American Jubilee, Mr. Geithner, where we clear all credit records and we allow people to come buy homes. I want you to give them $20,000 or $30,000 in the form of cash vouchers, to where if they buy homes, that they can go in and get them with a cash voucher from the government, providing it's an energy efficient home. Do the same thing for automobiles, 10, 15, 20,000 for automobiles. Cash vouchers that are going to be distributed so people can go get these energy efficient cars. Clear the credit with the American Jubilee. Have a national job bank. Give them $30,000 in the form of a cash voucher. Have the employers list the jobs. You have the people that need jobs come in with these $30,000, up to a $30,000 cash voucher to get these jobs, and all your problems are solved, Mr. President. A felon came up to you, said he couldn't get work. Make all criminal records private except to law enforcement. That solves that problem. So there, your problem solved, just by me listening to God. I did all that in less than 10 minutes. So I'm ahead of you, sir. I hope you get this video. God bless you, Mr. President. I really like the way you approach the people.